Okay, we're live again. And the last time I was here, we were on this journey where I had started playing around with Graphiti, which is a JSON API framework for Ruby. And the reason I wanted to do that was I want to choose a technology stack that I can get started with fairly quickly on apps that I want to build. And I wanted to get back into Rails. I've been using a lot of JavaScript recently, which is great, but I've wanted to get back into Ruby and Rails. And so I thought, okay, great, let's use Graphiti. I've heard about it or read about it before, but I hadn't used it before. And Graphiti comes with this thing called Spray Paint. And I thought, great, Spray Paint is a JavaScript framework that becomes your client to consume the JSON API server. And I started playing around with it, following the tutorial. And Spray Paint isn't really used anymore. I tried to debug the last time. I jumped into the source code, couldn't figure my way around it. And then right after that stream, I went on their Slack, the Graphiti Slack, and it seems like folks aren't really maintaining or using Spray Paint, and that's really the reason why it's not functional. And I'm not in a place where I want to, go and debug that or fix that. So here we are. Although I do want to learn about decorators a bit more in depth, and look at that TypeScript magic a bit more in depth as well. But that's neither here nor there. So yeah, here we are, and now I need to find a replacement for Spray Paint. And frankly, not just a replacement for Spray Paint, I need to now consider whether I need to look into, GraphQL or something similar. Or maybe I don't really want to roll my own version because one of the great advantages of JSON API is it just builds off of the relationships between your models, takes care of pagination, this and that. So yeah, I guess I'd have to look into a different framework. So let's see if I can't replace Graphiti. So let's look for JSON API implementation. So JSON API has a page that again hasn't been updated in a while. And they have all these options. I looked into a bunch of them already. A number of them are not maintained. Ember Data is, but I don't want to use Ember. Some of them are super light libraries. Like all they do is they convert JSON API objects into regular objects. Let's just say that you can use on the client end. And I want something a little bit more meatier. So there's a few libraries that stuck out to me. Devour, which is actually lightweight. So even though I don't really want to use lightweight, I believe there was Colloquent. I think TSAPI, Spray Paint, our friend Spray Paint is here. There's a whole bunch of these. So Devour has been updated fairly recently. Active Resource, okay, ended last year. And it is fairly sort of heavy in the way that it has a API for usage here, whereas some of the other lightweight libraries expect you to just use HTTP calls to do this. I do want to find a library that does this for me. And so Active Resource is an option. This library, I don't know how to pronounce the name, updated sometime this year. Eloquent. Colloquent. Eloquent. Colloquent. Okay, Colloquent. seems interesting, and I do want to play around with this one. And this TS API, which has been updated fairly recently. And I'm sure there's other ones out on there. I did scroll through a bunch. But this seems fairly... okay, so the documentation isn't at the link provided, but looking at some of the examples and at the code, it doesn't seem like it contains the simplicity that I want. Right? If I have to do this work myself, then I just rather like I want that built in to everything. I don't want to do the work myself. That's the whole point of using a framework, is that I want to do it. So this seems like lower level than I would have wanted. So here we are. So a few things. First, I would need to begin to see the changes I started to make. So I added a persist thing and made a bunch of changes for that. I reverted Typescript, so I want to undo that change. I kind of want to keep persist there for just for. I want to keep it there because I want to use it to test out the new library. Okay. I was like, why is this? This might be because of the version of Typescript. So let me undo that in a bit, and then I played around here. That was a fair disaster. So let's update our version of Typescript again. Our yarn file here should go back, but we're just gonna replace. Okay, we got a newer version of Typescript, so it's not gonna go back. I'm gonna leave persist hanging here, and an app, and really we gotta start by removing spray paint, redefining the models, and doing all that work. So let's get to it. All right. Let's add the library, restart a server, and then I guess in app view, I can, for now, not have persist. I believe I should just be able to comment it out and have this. And then I'm also going to reseed, because I added a bunch of empty things that did not go well. And I think these constraints are failing, maybe due to those reasons, maybe not. But either way, I'm just happy to just remove my database entirely, reseed it, which should create my database again. Oh yeah, I need to migrate. I should be able to migrate and seed all in one. If I refresh, now I get this data. Okay. Oh, I mean, I'm also trying to like size up the work, but it's not a whole lot. There's just one query that we've made really, and this code here to determine the sorting. So it's not a whole lot. This issue is still persistent. And I don't know why, but I'm gonna just ignore that for now. Okay, so here's my usage. And here's my setup. So we're creating models in the same way that we did before. And perhaps I can create a base model and have the base URL remain the same, and then just overwrite everything else that I need to. It seems like there might be other settings here. There's something that I'm not sure about in this framework or in this library, which is this business here. Like, since I'm defining albums here, do I have to define like a method for each attribute? Which is really something I don't want to do. So if I have to, that might get problematic. I guess I don't mind doing it for the relations, but if I have to do it for every attribute and set attribute, that will be a problem. So I'm gonna have to find a different library, and I might just have to. Ugh, I don't want to. Um, yeah, I might have to find a different library. I also know that methods that return an object of type the typical kind of relationship there is. See, I do like this. They have .save here, but they don't have so let's take a look at the tests to see what kinds of things they suggest here. So we're here in Builder. And Builder is just you're not sure what Builder is. Here's a model. So they've passed the model to the builder and now are running queries to that builder for that model, I assume. That's what it seems like. Okay. Just plain model. And you could pass an HTTP client to the model. Okay, nice. And then it uses that presumably. Okay, something's just. I thought I heard a knock on the door, so I gotta take care of this. I'll be back. You'll just see my screen for a bit. Okay, that was super weird. Not only was it a knock on my door, it was also like somebody was trying to get in. Like they were trying to open the lock to my apartment door here. And I kind of kind of just approached the door and looked through the hole, and I was just hearing them talk as well. So they're like trying to struggle and unlock the door. I'm like, what is going on? I don't respond or say anything. I'm just observing and listening. And it let's say my partner number is like 202. It turns out they wanted to go to PH 202, like penthouse 202, um and yeah, there were a realtor with some folks trying to show the apartment, it seemed, and they were, if my door wasn't locked, they would just walk in. Okay, all right, so here we are looking at the usage here. Um, the foo extends model. So I'm just trying to see what they have done here and hoping to look at, trying to see a fuller example. So here we have, you describe the JSON API type, very similar to what we had done using spray paint. So this one doesn't have any sort of details um, on the model's values. Oh, this isn't it. This is it. Let me see if I actually saw that anywhere. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, seems like that's not there. So we don't define. Okay, seems like we don't define any attributes in the model, which is problematic. Like, so when we did this, it should have created a field called first name on the model itself, and then also control some of the access to the field so that if you did something like um, if you had done something to the nature of uh, employee.first name equals blah, it would not only just assign the value to the attribute, but it would also store it in an attributes object, and mark the object as dirty, and so forth, so on. So spray paint was giving us that functionality. It doesn't seem like Coloquent is doing that, which is why it wants us to define it here ourselves. Now, presumably, I could learn. I could, sorry, this is funny. I could learn decorators and create my own decorator that where I define this on the model, and then it happens to do something like get and set, and then I get to use the query thing they've built out. So I might just have to. This is going to be really not great. So I'm going to open some more of these. I didn't look at all of them last time. Uh, so let's take a look at active resource a bit closer. I don't really want to use Vuex as a store, but let me just take a look at what this is. Let me take a look at this. Heather. Fractal, sure. TS API, maybe we could take a look at that, and then JSON API models, why not? So this is where we were. kind of not too hot on this anymore. I'd glanced at it and I'd looked at their API for their the query API, and it seemed great, which is why I was hoping to get on stream and try it. But then just a little bit more, looking into it a bit more, seems like, okay, this might be problematic. Did I even open all the? Yeah, I did. So fractal, all this is open. Okay, active resource. Not been updated all year long. Last issue is from also last year, so it's probably not. Well, is this project discontinued? Yeah, this is one of the problems, and really that's the complaint. I mean, this this library, those comments are from like 2-3 years ago now. The problem here is, unfortunately, a company like Facebook, they make GraphQL because they need it. The system's complex. They need to do it. And yeah, and some folks like building new things, so they have to build a new thing to solve a problem that they have that very few other people have. And then they open source it, which is amazing, right? That's great. They opened up this thing. And then people start using it because they're like, oh, we have to use it because Facebook is using it. And I mean, in a way that's good, but it adds all this complexity, or it makes things a bit even beyond complexity. It adds complications that smaller projects don't really need. And now you have these like mini small projects having just complicated setups and code because they want an infinite graph querying ability for their tic-tac-toe app, right? And it's like, what are you doing? What's happening? You don't need this. And I am, it is unfortunate. I'm saddened that something like JSON API, which was very sort of level-headed, didn't take off. It seemed like it was going to at some point. It seemed like GitHub and some other places had started using it. But then I think as GraphQL took over, JSON API had no chance. And I guess Ember and Ember Data might be the only up-to-date implementations. Which means LinkedIn uses it. I guess. Maybe. Who knows? I'm just going to actually... They might not even. So I'm going to, in a browser that you can't see right now, I am just going to go into my LinkedIn profile. Go into my LinkedIn profile. Open up my network tab. And see if some of these network calls are JSON API. I would assume they're actually not. No, seems like they are. But not exactly. Seems like they are a modified version of JSON API. Because I'm seeing data, I'm seeing included, I'm seeing meta. But when I open up data, it seems like the types are So let me open this up here. So yeah, I mean, I am seeing data, for example, and include. I'm trying to find data that's an array instead of just a pure object. Not really seeing that right now. Seems to be more one-to-one. I'm looking for data that's an array. No, like what's been loaded here so far has just been like single single objects. But either way, they're single objects so far. There's a type. In some places, there's paging information. There's meta information in some of these, not all of them. And instead of type, it's like $sign type. Probably, actually, that even the data I realize now is like there's no attributes. It's not JSON API. It's some homegrown version of JSON API-ishness because of the included. So, for example, and yeah, so included is there, meta is there on some calls. Yeah, I'm looking at a call with meta right now. But the data is not attributes. The data is like, there's no attributes. Like the attributes here are just part of the original object. There's a type, and it starts with $sign, again, presumably to avoid collision with the actual attributes that might be type. I wonder what they are using. For their data thing. Okay, well, that's that. Where was I? I might have ended up closing a... Yeah, I mean, I didn't really want to stream this, where I'm just like trying to evaluate a library. I think it was active resource that I was looking at. Again, that hasn't been updated in a while, but let's see how they define models. So some kind of has many, belongs to. Assign attributes can be done en masse. All the attributes can be retrieved. And you do define attributes. Okay, I mean, you know, okay. This change tracking. Types and so on. It's not, I don't believe it's Typescript. Oops. Didn't want to be moving this. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's put this on the burner. JSON API models. Okay, recently updated. Added prettier. Seems like it's TypeScript. So this, you know, some global store. And we sync models by just throwing them on. And then we can find them. Seems like we're extending here, declaring here. Register your custom models with the store. Okay, okay. I'm not entirely against it. Yeah, yeah, I should just call the stream off and be like, okay, just an API Vuex updated in April sometime. Vue.js 2, so it's probably not. Okay, so version 5 and later supports only Vue 3. So it seems like somebody cares about this enough. But really, the feeling I'm getting is like, hey, there isn't enough popular support for JSON API out there to really think about it as like a serious thing to build upon. And again, that's a shame. That is a tremendous shame. Yeah, I think the unfortunate thing is I really don't want to use Vuex either. So not really an option here. This thing's not even there. JSON API client updated 5 months ago, but it seems like it's some, bump of a version. Jeez. See, I don't want to do this either. What is this? Like, what is this? Why do people like writing like line by line of code for every single detail? One thing I definitely didn't like with JSON API is like this, this magic camel casing, snake casing business. Although you don't have to do it. Fair enough. You don't have to do it. Hmm. And then there's Devour, which I was looking at, which seemed interesting to me. It's not TypeScript. So you define a model in this manner. And you define your API endpoints here. And then you're able to find all, page, include things you're able to destroy and so on. Just fairly bare bones. But no, I don't want that either. So there's literally no options for me that are comparable to a spray paint. I don't even want like 100% feature match with spray paint. I just want something that's usable without without having to use Ember. That's funny. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that's the end of this series. I think I'm done with Graphiti because I don't want to build a consuming library, and the ones that are out there, people have given up for the most part here. Okay, is there something in this TypeScript bunch that is useful? Angular and G, those do not seem like those are options because these are all for Angular. Was Gravit in this list here? No. Okay, let's take a look at these. I'm always just trying to, find some space for use with the mobx statement. I don't want to use mobx. Maybe Drupal. What? TS JSON API in the full 2020 fork of this. Nope. Yeah, this is probably not even like a. Is designed specifically. It seems to work with Drupal, so I'm not gonna spend too much time here. Updated 3 days ago. Okay, but Dependabot. All Dependabots on since January. All right. So we get the JSON API object. We define the URL for our API in some context. And then, And then we just say, oh, get me the thing. Get me the articles. That's interesting. Like this is I'm awaiting this. So this is a promise to author. And then attributes are retrieved in this manner here. Okay, interesting. Tell me more. Okay, well, seems like we don't have pagination or filtering or sorting. So, well, I guess that's the end of that. So now I'm just considering, is it too bad? Even the Ember Data link is 404. Ember Data. Ember Data models, okay. Using tracked for plus like from Glimmer, I guess it could be used outside. What is Ember anymore? The last time I dirty Ember was about 2-3 years ago. Like has many belongs to, all those definitions are there. And then you have this global store and you find a record of whatever type and it'll give you that. At least it'll make that available in the store. Huh. Yeah, I don't want to use Ember Data. Come on. Although this is nice if it works. This is straightforward and nice. It's nice. Create your own transforms. Finding records, you find records just through the store. So you define all your models and then they become available. It manages, whether it's dirty or not and this and that. You change the attributes. It's a lot of work. For the longest time, Ember Data was like kind of the shakiest part of Ember in the super early days. Oh, jeez. I guess I'm just dreading it in the sense that now, I thought I potentially had something that would have been a base to build something, and it's not, so I'm just disappointed in that. And frustrated. This is also nice, apart from the push object. Okay, 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 okay. Okay, I'm just gonna. Sorry, it's just funny. Okay, I guess I'm gonna start investigating GraphQL and Ruby. Oh, jeez. After trying to navigate around it and avoid it. I don't even know if this is kind of like the gem for GraphQL in Ruby. I presume it is. I mean, GraphQL is going to get a lot of traction. So, the moment I'm looking at GraphQL, we're looking at a bunch of options on the client side, a bunch of options on the server side, even in JavaScript. So maybe I just abandon Ruby altogether and just go pure JavaScript now, because if I'm doing GraphQL, then do I really need to be leveraging Ruby anymore? Um, okay. Deeply and tremendously unfortunate. So just a bunch of okay, so maybe I could just investigate how they suggest using it with certain clients, um, and maybe my kind of feeling my way there on how certain clients would work with um, Vue. So you would, You'd run this. It probably presumably generate a bunch of files for you for configuration purposes. You declare types. So here there's posts and comments. So you define your fields, their types and everything else. You define relationships between types. You define that. And you build a schema. So for so just okay. All your queries go here in this manner. Now this is like you could find a post. I've defined this, and now you're able to find a post. And now this is the query that I can execute because I've defined this query here for post type. So I can go post. It takes an argument ID of ID. Okay. Okay. And now it's like if you're back in for relay, Apollo client GraphQL JS. Let's see. I guess the thing is, like, I haven't really used GraphQL, so that's something for me to learn now. Seems like relay is mostly for React. Well, that's not clear. Seems like Vue is on this page many times, but it won't actually go to those instances. Maybe it's not. Apollo seems to be fairly popular. All the kids are using it. Got tutorials. It's got, you know, you can get certified. So it's like serious business. It's got a server. It's got a client. Oh my. You know, but this is for a different session. So I'll leave it here. Just largely disappointed. So I'll take a look later. So yeah, we might be getting into GraphQL tutorials. Not just that. Let's just see. Oh, this is like a lot. This is a lot. Let's see if this. Okay, so Apollo GraphQL provides some kind of tutorial for us to be able to use it with the Ruby end to end. So maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that tutorial. Although it doesn't seem too intense. Just one post. 2021 backend. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to go through here now. I just want something that will give me data, help me paginate, sort, and just do basic functions that I want to do literally for 85% of the models I create. I just want basic credit sorting without having to, reinvent everything every time.